We all should know that, but
Right.
um, it is my mental health,
Right.
and now I just like helping people. Like I love. There's a lot of people that could go far in this sport, and they could do far in their lives. It's just you have to get through it. This sport can take you there. It really can. It's just not easy. It takes dedication.
Yeah. And it's very family oriented, man. I remember when I was training there, and most gyms that I've been to has had that format and that overall environment where you develop a family. And I know it at the Uflacker Academy, and I'm sure it's the same thing at your academy as well, where you literally become a family. You guys
It's
train together and you fight together, you compete together. So I think that there's a lot to be said about that as well. And I can tell you that personally, I'm the same boat as you, man. Whenever I was in a dark place, I would just find the gym and train, because you have two choices, right? You can go to the bar, you can go to the pubs, or go to the clubs and drink, or you can go find some exercise somewhere and find some camaraderie, which is what we're used to in the military, and you can find that on the mats, man. And so I've been meaning to get you on the show for a while, and I'm really happy that I got you on the show, because a lot of things you're saying I resonate with. I totally understand where you're coming from with that. And I just want to back it up real quick, and talk about some of the failures that you had while you were in uniform. And I think it's important because a lot of folks think that you have to be perfect, that you have to be perfect. To be a success, you have to be perfect. And in my opinion, I've had a lot of failures myself and had to overcome obstacles, and pick myself back up again, dust myself off, and keep going. So, would you mind talking about some of those failures that you had and how you found the strength to overcome? And was Brazilian Jiu Jitsu part of that?
I at the end, I don't know if I looked at it as that doing jujitsu about failure because at that time I had maybe 8 months left, and I wasn't thinking of that at the time, but I felt like my whole military career, I failed so many times just from the beginning because I didn't have that experience of knowing anyone that was in the military. I lost my dad early. I had nobody to show me all this manly stuff. I get thrown in the Marine Corps and I'm failing at making a tent. I'm failing at shooting properly. Like I failed a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Um, but all I could do, and I kind of tell people this in jujitsu, I could do is just keep going and try to get better, or I could stop and just quit. But the military doesn't let you do that. I mean, you can. It's just you're not going to get far after that. They'll kick you
Right.
out. You'll just be a turd. You know what I mean? But I failed a lot in my attitude. I would say I always had something to say. I always spoke up, which was a good thing, but it was also a bad thing. So I had to work on how I would say stuff, especially coming from the civilian world and how I talk to people. It just so yeah, just a lot of failure, a lot of the stuff that I just couldn't do that a lot of these kids were doing. Um, I was like, why can't I do that? I can't even put that in properly. I just changed this tire wrong. Like I'm sure people know how to change tires 20 times better than I did when they went in. So I felt like I failed a lot until I hit like corporal is when I was like, okay, it's time to I have to take more of a leadership role anyway. I tried to as a lance corporal too, but so yeah, I failed at adapting at first, but all you can do is keep going,
Yeah.
and that's it. And that's what I did. I kept working on it, and I guess all that failure, to end it good was doing jujitsu, so I didn't feel like such a failure.
Yeah.
And then going through 2 deployments, I don't know. I don't even know how I felt, like, if you're supposed to feel anything. I'm trying to
Right.
think, like, if I felt like I didn't think I was a failure at that point, but that's all we kinda knew. I didn't really know anything else at that point. But
Well,
that's how I kinda got over them. Just keep doing them.
yeah. So you lost your dad at a young age. So you grew up sort of having to figure out on your own how to become a man,
Yeah.
and then you joined the Marines, and that's diving into the deep end in itself. I'm sure boot camp was a complete
and get
slap in the face for you.
awful.
And
It was awful.
and yeah, it takes a lot of courage, man. It takes a lot of courage to do what you did, and the things that you're talking about right now are things that have to do with, cutting your teeth in life. And I really believe that there's no better place than the military to do that, to cut your teeth and learn, get mentored by others, fail, get back up again. And it's funny because today I was working with a 26-year-old young man, and we were doing push-ups. And even at my age, at 42 years old, I can still do 55 push-ups in like a minute, right?
Uh,
um, and that's just how we are, I think, because um, and this kid I was working with didn't quite understand like the idea of clearing the bar, and like every day get up, like knock out as many push-ups as you can before you go to the restroom. Like that's what I do, and that's what most of us in the military do, right? And I really feel like people who serve get it. um, you know overcome the odds, pushing yourself beyond your boundaries, and things like that. And that's something that it sounds like definitely you learned how to do, and that's why it was sort of an easy transition for you to get onto the mats and start training and pushing yourself. And you sort of found a family there. And I know you were training with Professor Christian Uflacker for years, but at what point, Anthony, did you decide that it was time to open your own gym?
So after the whole Comcast thing, it was like 7, 8 years in, and I was going through a divorce at the time. I was in school full time. I was working full time, and I was still fighting MMA. So I was doing that. I juggle, and my life was chaotic. I had no time, but I kept myself so busy. I had to. I just had to keep myself busy. Um, because once I stopped being busy, you have all those thoughts coming in and all of that stuff.
Right.
So at the end of that, I was starting to get out of Comcast. I couldn't take it anymore. I just and then the PTSD started like overflowing, and I started actually seeing like therapists and stuff like that. So I just was like, I'm done with Comcast. So I got called. Someone I used to know a long time ago that would run gyms, and they're like, "Do you want to be a trainer at like a UFC gym?" I was like, "Hell yeah, it's awesome, UFC gym!" And you think of the money and how sad it is, how much money you make, you have to start. You have to start somewhere. Holy cow! And I had to do something, and I'm
Right.
like, "Well, don't I try this and see how I go?" I mean, I was a brown belt at the time, so I didn't even teach jujitsu there. I was just a kickboxing guy, and I ran it like boot camp, and I killed so many people in good ways. They loved me there because I related so much with, "Oh, you want to lose weight? I got you. Oh, you want to get in shape? I got you. Trust me. Like I know how to get your asses in shape." And I was very intense, and I still am to this day. Um, and a lot of it has to do with the military. A lot of the kids do not have the drive that we had. Not at all.
Right.
Um, so once I started, finally started. I asked to teach jujitsu. It was like 6, 7 months, and I was like, I should probably teach jujitsu. I'm a brown belt. So we just started doing nogi, and all of a sudden, I just started getting like a few people that started really liking it, and they stopped doing kickboxing a little bit, and they wanted to do jujitsu. Like a month later, the classes are growing and growing. I'm like, what the hell? So now we're getting regulars, like in my jujitsu classes. We started like twice a week and 3 times a week. So I think we were doing jujitsu for almost 6, 7 months. And I wanted to start a gi program. Everyone's like, no, we're not going to do gi. Who the heck's going to do gi? This is UFC gym. We're all MMA fighters here. You you MMA fighters, you're not supposed to train in the gi, which is such horseshit, by the way,
Yeah.
too. Um, because at many times all your world champions trained in the gi
Hmm.
up until their fights. But again, you get I don't know what today's generation what they're watching or what they're thinking, but yeah, so that's how the jujitsu guys were. We were training the damn gi still. We would do all of that stuff. Um, so when I started the GI program there, everyone was talking like, okay, it's not going to work. And like the first class, we had like 7, 8, 9, 10 people or something in the GI. I was like, holy shit, people bought GIs, they bought belts. Because I'm thinking promotions, I'm thinking future. Like the belt, yes, it goes around your waist, but that belt shows it's a degree. It's like a college degree, right? Because you're there forever. Like if you're not doing gi, I'm sorry, I don't buy the whole belt thing. So that's what jujitsu is. It's Brazilian jiu-jitsu for a reason. You put in 10, 12 years, you're gonna know a lot of knowledge. You don't have to be a world champion. You
Right.
don't have to be any of that. You just have to know how to be a good teacher if that's what you want to do. And I started loving teaching and seeing my students compete from a UFC gym and beating people from legit schools. I'm like, maybe I do know what I'm talking about. And I didn't at the time compared to what I know now. I mean, and I'm going to say this in 3 years from now. But I grew to about 20, 30 people would come into my classes. I had a student be like, "Hey, I'll give you this much money. Open your school. I believe in you. Let's do it." And I had no money. We jumped, and that was it. Um, it sucked that I had to take the people away from that gym, but I still have most of them that came with me 4 years ago with me to this day.
Wow.
Most are
Yeah,
still
man.
with me to this day. My OGs, I call them.
That's some dedication for sure, man. Um, and over the years, who are some of the folks that you've had the opportunities to train with? And the reason I ask that is because I remember being a brand new blue belt. Professor Uflacker gave me my blue belt, uh, and I remember watching you guys, and it was kind of mesmerizing to see you guys just spar each other because you guys were preparing for fights and everything. Man, you guys were killing each other. Who are some of the folks that you've had the liberty to train with, man, over the years?
Oh man, to this day, I wish some of the MMA fighters would train the way we trained. You don't see that a lot anymore. You would see us. You saw us beat the living daylights out of each other.
Yeah.
Six 5 minute rounds. It didn't matter if you were pro or amateur. You're doing 6 5 minute rounds. So me, I got to train with Christian Uflacker, which was awful when he was training for fights. Um, the BBs, I've trained with a few of the BBs, Carson BB, back in the day, who was a decent pro fighter. Rob Menegaz, made it in the pro ranks, but he doesn't fight anymore. Gideon Ray, who is man,
Remember Gideon?
he got me ready for my fights. Just amazing, very talented.
What makes the Pharaoh Academy different than other schools in the greater Chicago area, in your opinion?
If you give me 100%, I'm giving you 100%. So that's my job anyway, is to make you good at jujitsu, to make you happy. I just talked to the class today. I'm like, have think about it as I want you guys to love it as much. I wish I could get you guys to love it as much as I do because I'm obsessed with it. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but that is my goal. My goal is to make everyone know what to do on the streets, to keep my police officers safe on the streets and know what to do, keep the veterans safe mentally. Um, but I could only do it if you put in the work, But that's kind of how I'm different in the academy because I push, but it's good for competitors and it's good for. We have an 87-year-old man that comes to class twice a week.
Wow.
So yeah, it doesn't matter, you know. So that's what's different.
I
I don't sugarcoat stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of that goes back to your upbringing as well. You lost your father at a very young age. Think about how many young folks are at your academy that you're leaving an impression upon, teaching them the things that you had to learn. By yourself, joining the military. You're teaching them. I'm sure you have a lot of teenagers that are showing up, and a lot of parents that are hobbyists as well. And I think maybe some of the things that you do and the reasons why you run it the way that you do is sort of because of the way you were brought up and how you had to learn things on your own, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, no, Yeah, I want people to learn, and I want them to get something when they're there. They're supporting me. I got to support. I got to do my job. You got to work. You got to work hard.
Yeah. I really miss Chicago and having academies like yours and UFLACers. And I tell you what, that was the beginning of my uh, training was when I was there in Chicago, and since then, I really haven't experienced another academy similar to what Professor Uflacker ran, and I haven't experienced the same type of training family that he had there as well, like, with folks like you. So I at some point in time, man, I'd like to stop by and drop in and
Absolutely.
bring my gi. So um,
Anytime. I love it. I love when people come to visit and train. I love doing seminars. I just want people to learn. I want to teach. I want to keep getting better, and I have to get better to get you better. That's how I look at it.
everything everything is so exciting for you, and I remember when I trained there in Chicago, it was a very formidable time for me specifically. And for you and your academy, what do you have coming over the horizon? What's in store for you, competition wise, or what's in store for your business?
I I'm trying to build the kids classes, which is doing a very good job. Um, my goal is to add more classes, to maybe teach like an MMA class, just like striking once a week with jujitsu, because a lot of us don't know what to do when if we're stuck on our backs in a street scenario, how to block a punch type stuff. Um, I'm just trying to grow. I'm just trying to grow. Me, as far as competing, I think I'm going to do two more this year. I've been competing almost twice a month since January. I'm tired. I just love it. But I think I'm taking November, December off to try to look at some seminars. So I'll still be traveling. Hopefully, I got a seminar set in California actually for November, December. If they're in SoCal. So I'm working on the specifics yet. So I'll know more when that comes out. So I have one lined up so far. And then next year I wanna try to get on the Pan Ams. I want to get at the Nationals and the Worlds, and let's see what I could do. Um, against the big leagues. I mean, then same thing I did this year, but I'm going to add a few more big events in there, and I want some of my students to be on the podiums at these big events because I believe I could teach any of them to make it up there because I believe in my jujitsu and I believe in my teaching at this point because I nonstop study.
Even scheduling this interview, man, like, you had so much going on. I appreciate you being so flexible, and we're doing this at night, and I know
Uh,
you just got done teaching your classes, man. So you also mentioned too that you're planning on writing a book.
yes, so I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm in the middle of I'm just doing like I'm getting all my thoughts down. I'm going from my childhood to where I'm at now. Um, so that's something to look out probably in the next 6 months. Um, something should be coming out soon. And I've had an interesting life, but
Yeah,
it's more of just helping people because I don't want good people to suffer. Like I suffered a lot. Silence suffered, and I don't want people to silence suffer. I've been where I was living in basements in my car and stuff like that. So and to have a strong positive mindset, don't be weak minded. And like I said, I'm very brutally honest. If someone's being lazy, I'm going to tell them they're being lazy, and I'm like, if you don't do anything about it, life's not going to be easier. It really isn't. Um, I believe in the hard work, and that's all I try to throw on to people. And don't use your mental health as an excuse.